Howdy, Naders. I am here, 2 at the March 7, about to begin yet another video, the second Orihime video, in a sky full of stars. At the end of the last video, we had made some good progress in Orihime's route. We had kind of gotten ourselves a plan for trying to get ourselves set up to host an event at the planetarium, and we'd also kind of established that Orihime likes to come over and sit in Akito's room using the kotatsu. I've never actually used a kotatsu personally. I don't think they really made their way here to the United States as a really, useful piece of furniture here, but it seems like they were big at some point in Japan. Don't know if they still are, but one of these days I'd really like to try one. Anyway, we are here. We might as well continue on. It was after school when I got a message from the club members working on the plans for the observation camp.
日程はまだ調整中ですが、行き先については候補が見つかりました。
Hanukkah sent the address.
大学のセミナーハウスが借りられそうですので、そこを利用したらどうかと。
I see, that's not a bad spot. I was only looking at the pictures, but it seemed like a pretty nice place. It was most likely a spot meant for students to use on retreats and stuff, but it somehow gave off a high-class vibe like Maiko.
名工の施設なんだよね。高いんじゃないの？
代表者が内部生なら格安で借りられます。
I was a little concerned about the price as well. That was probably going to be the number one obstacle.
いいところみたいですね。山もあって空気も美味しそう。
山？
Saya had just made a passing comment, but everybody was now focused on it. In the photos they had online, you could clearly see lush green mountains behind the building.
雪は降らないんでしょうか。
Even I hastily opened up my map application.
近くにスキー場がありますね。
Just like she said, there was a ski resort marked on the map not too far away.
雪山じゃん。どうすんの
？This was just how things always seemed to go. Right when we were about to find a place to stay, a new problem emerged. All the students were going about their business at Hoshino Daiichi and kept sneaking glances in my direction. I guess that was to be expected when there was one single girl wearing a uniform from a different school.
さやさんはよく平気でいられますわね。
She looked graceful on the outside, but she must be made of harder stuff on the inside. She always seemed so sure of herself.
あ、2号さんだ。
One of the girls sounded surprised as she saw me. It was probably the girl I'd met the day before.
ごきげんよう。
I smiled and nodded a casual greeting.
ねえねえ、2号さんって？
かよいずまちゃんの新たなライバル。かよいずま2号さんだよ。
なんで2号はさん付けなわけ？
だって名工だよ。お嬢様だよ。それにおっぱいだっておっきいし。
おっぱいか。そりゃかよいずまちゃんも強敵だね。
あの子アイドルみたいに可愛いけど胸はないもんね。
男はおっぱいに弱いもんな。
I could hear everything. Other than my chest, though, I was pretty sure that Saya was more feminine than I was, so I couldn't blame them.
ねえねえ2号さん、かよいずま1号ちゃんは一緒じゃないの？彼女は別に用があるそうですので。ってことは抜け駆けし放題か。
うわ、肉食系女子だ。
肉食かどうかはわかりませんけれど、かよいずまらしく差し入れは用意してきましたのよ。
I held up my package to show them.
何持ってきたの？カツサンドですわ。
確かに肉だ。男が超好きそうなメニュー。
やばいよかよいずまちゃん。2号さんに取られちゃうよ。
Still nothing. Orihime was supposed to come over to my school today to talk about the planetarium event. I told her to text me when she got here, but I hadn't heard anything yet. That's when there was a knock at my door. Come in.
失礼いたします。
I half expected somebody else, but it was Orihime. I thought you were going to text me when you were outside.
ええ、案内していただきましたので。
She said it like it wasn't a big deal.
連れてきたのは俺だからな。
Takeichi popped his head into the room from behind Orihime. Take, thanks.
これっきりにしてくれよ。廊下で軽くパニックになってたんだからな。
A panic?
途中まで女子の皆さんに案内していただきましたの。
平気そうに話してるが、ありゃ10人はいたぞ。
きっと明光学院の制服が珍しかっただけでしょう。
That was probably part of it. But I doubted that was the only reason.
そんなわけで、俺が白鳥さんを救出し、ここまで連れてきたわけだ。感謝しろよ。
Arigato, I'll remember this. Takeichi had probably seen that she was in trouble and couldn't just leave her. He may not look it, but he was actually quite a helpful guy.
それじゃ、約束の物。
分かっていますわ。
She opened the package she was carrying and handed Takeichi something white.
お、マジうまそう。いっただき。
What is that?
カツサンドです。草壁くんはこれで買収したのよ。
And here I was thinking that you were just being a nice guy.
悪い悪い。いやー、カツサンドくれるって言うからよ。男子は勝てないだろう、カツサンドには。
I probably couldn't. Knowing that they were made for somebody else would make it awkward, though.
空見くんもどうぞ。
Arigato. I couldn't resist the temptation and went ahead and took one. I took one bite, savoring the contrast of flavors between the thick pork cutlet and the lightly toasted bread. The sauce was wonderful, too. What is this? This isn't like any cutlet sandwich I've ever had. I was actually really surprised by the taste. It was really delicious. Since when could you get cutlet sandwiches that were this good?
購買のとは団地のうまさだな。さすが名工のお嬢だ。
手作りすると大体こうなるらしいですわ。
You mean you don't know? She sounded like she was just guessing.
お母様の手作りなんです。自分ではさすがにちょっと。
I guess Orihime wasn't a cook then. I bet it wasn't that she couldn't make anything, though. It was just that her mom was probably more experienced.
自作でないと通い妻失格ということはありませんわよね。
The stuff Saya brings is all made by her mom, too.
ちょっと待て。なんだよ、通い妻って。
通い妻2号ですわ。1号はもちろん天の川さやさんです。
アキト、てめえ
Takeichi suddenly threw his arm around my neck and put me in a headlock. Whoa, stop it, what are you doing?
調子に乗りやがって。
Ah! After thrashing me about for a bit, Takeichi finally headed off to practice.
大丈夫ですの？
Orihime sounded a little worried as she came to check on me. She leaned forward with an intense look on her face. Orihime, you're a little close.
頭蓋骨を目いっぱい締め付けられたんです。心配して当然ですわ。
I wish he would have been more worried when it was actually happening.
カツサンド食べられます？痛みがひどいなら持ち帰りにしても。
Oh, no, don't worry about me. I can still eat. The sandwiches were still a little warm. It was probably best to eat them now anyway. I got a couple drinks for us before sitting back down again. Orihime's mother's cutlet sandwiches really were delicious, though. We sort of got lost in enjoying them for a little while.
あんなカツサンド初めて食べましたわ。もっと早くに作ってくださればよかったのに。相変わらず意地悪な人です。
Somehow I got the feeling that this wasn't the case.
知り合いの男子に差し入れを持っていくと伝えたら、お母様がものすごい気合を入れてしまいまして。
That sounds like a mom, all right. It's the same the first time a guy brings a girl home with him. In order to make the girl feel welcome, the mother will go out of her way to prepare all sorts of food. I guess even Orihime's mom was a lot like other normal moms.
おかん
You know, like the strong motherly type.
うちのお母様、見た目だけは上品なんですが、性格の方がちょっと。
I wouldn't be surprised if Orihime's good looks weren't the only thing she inherited from her mom. We'd gotten a little sidetracked with the sandwiches, but we were soon starting talking about the event.
必要になるのはプラネタリウムの運営サイドに提出する企画書となりますが。
We need to figure out where to start. Without that, I feel like we're just wandering aimlessly.
とっかかりと言いますと。
Yeah, we should figure out what our main priority is first.
それはもちろん楽しいイベントの開催。そして来てくれたお客さんがみんな星を好きになってくれることですわ。
That would be the ideal outcome. Getting more people interested in astronomy is one of Orihime's main reasons for doing what she does. Yes, but how do we go about doing that? What kind of event would have that effect?
そうですわね。
Our conversation was starting to get rather vague. We weren't getting anywhere like this. Let's try something different. What were you just saying is the ideal outcome of our event? That should be the case as long as the event is a success. Here's what I think. This is your event, Orihime. You're going to be planning it. You're going to be performing it. We don't know what it will be about or who's going to be for yet, but it's your plan. Don't you think it would be best to have an event that is full of the things that you would like to do? Having a successful event where a lot of people show up and enjoy themselves would be great. But I wasn't sure that we could really say we accomplished our goal if we didn't do it the way that we wanted to.
私のしたいことですか。
What exactly is it you want to use the planetarium to do? Please tell me. Orihime answered. She only had 2 more months until she was going to graduate. If there was anything left that she really wanted to do before then, I wanted her to figure out what that was.
こんな時、原点に帰るのが良いのでしょうね。
When people worried or lost their way, they always returned to where they started. For me, my starting point was back when Saya, Hickory, and I had been writing that observation journal for the Mikasaki Astronomy Club. You might even go back farther than that to the first time Hickory and I had used the telescope my father had given me to see the stars up close.
私が星を好きになったのは、お母様の影響があったからというのは、以前お話ししたと思います。
Hi. The two of us had been holed up here polishing the mirror for the Pleiades 1. That was when Orihime had told me she had started watching the stars. When she was a little girl, her mother had told her stories on the legends behind the constellation. That's how she developed an interest. Another older student had taken her to an observation event one time, and that had been the first time she'd used the telescope. She said that was the moment her world changed, when she realized how vast the universe was and considered where the light she saw was coming from.
先輩に導かれて、私は天文の世界に入った。宇宙を、銀河を、その深淵に触れたいと思うようになったの。先輩に出会わなかったら、今の私はなかったと思う。だけど、お母様が作ってくれた下地もまた無視することはできない。私はお母様のおかげで星が好きな子になったから。夜空の星々に思いを馳せる喜びを教えてくれたのは紛れもなくお母様だったから。先輩がしてくれたことはむつら星の会ですればいい。私の後を継いでくれる吉岡に託せばいい。今の私がすべきはきっとお母様がたどった道を行くこと。星座の物語を伝えることで星に興味を持ってもらいたい。
Orihime's feelings had been put into words and taken on shape. She could definitely ignite people's curiosity with the way she told the stories of the constellation.
どうかしら、分かってもらえた？
Yes, it makes perfect sense. If that's the case, Then we should make a program that centers around the legends behind the constellations.
でも星座神話のプログラムなんてありきたりすぎないかしら。
That's where you come in. You have to come up with a program that only you could do. Don't you think that would be great? Just what kind of stories would she tell? I was getting excited just thinking about it.
ならイベントのプログラム内容は星座神話にしましょう。
There are so many legends, though. This is going to be difficult.
最もポピュラーなのはギリシャ神話だけど、インドや中国などの逸話もあるわね。
We don't really have a lot of time, but let's narrow it down as we go. We'd finally settled on an idea for the event. Next, we had to figure out who our target audience was going to be. Our event is scheduled for the 17th of next month. That's a Monday. We will have to try to appeal to the kind of people who can come on that day.
カップル向けではなさそうね。となると主婦かしら。
That would probably be rather difficult. I think our target audience should be students.
学生ね。
She seemed to be on the verge of an idea. Her face looked like she was deep in thought.
そうよ。新入生だわ。部員獲得のための下準備をするのよ。来年度入学する後輩たちに向けて星の素晴らしさをアピールするのはどうかしら。
I see. It's like killing two birds with one stone. If that's the case, then our target audience will be the students who are preparing for tests. This is their busiest time.
それはそうかもしれないけど、でも人には息抜きも必要ですわ。
Orihime sounded a little peevish as she came up with an excuse. A breather, huh? I suppose that is important.
でしょ？プラネタリウムなんて気分転換にぴったりのはず。
Let's ask Corona to do a little digging for us. She could try and gauge whether people would be interested in going.
メローペに任せておけば問題なさそうね。よくできた末の妹を持ててラッキーですわ。
このケーキおいしい。
それは良かったです。わざわざ遠くまで買いに行った甲斐がありますわ。紅茶はいかがですか？お砂糖足りていますか？
ケーキが甘いからこのくらいでいいです。
We were at the Maiku Academy's astronomy club. The girls were indulging Corona with tea and cake.
なんだか至れり尽くせりで申し訳なくなっちゃうよね。
良いのです、良いのです。あなたは妹なのですからどんどん食べてください。食べ終えた後、少しだけ我々の話を聞いてもらいますけど。
Our true purpose came bit by bit from Hanukkah. Hanukkah and Orihime were deceiving her by completely pampering her.
お腹いっぱい。
After three different slices of cake, even she was full.
あんまり食べると眠くなっちゃうかな。あと勉強しなきゃいけないんだけど。
受験勉強ははかどっていますね。
ぼちぼちかな。名校は受け入れる外部生の数が少ないから倍率もかなり高くて大変だよ。
Corona complained, but she didn't look worn out from the study. I suppose she was sound of body and mind. We have something to ask you, Corona.
あなたたち受験生についていろいろ聞かせてもらいたいの。
Hanukkah refilled the tea without missing a beat. There was no plan to block her escape, but it worked just like that.
いいけど何が聞きたいの？
私たちでプラネタリウムのイベントをやるって話は聞いていて、そのイベントにあなた方受験生を招待しようと考えてますの。
そうなんだ。それはみんな喜ぶよきっと。
本当にそうでしょうか。
Hanukkah pointed out that problem right away. She wasn't trying to put out flaws, but she was trying to gain the most information she could. Maybe they're all busy studying. Even if we invite them, do you think they'll really come?
みんながみんな来るとはコロナも言わないよ。でも勉強漬けでぐったりしてるから気分転換したいなって切実に思ってる子は多いと思う。
ですよね、ですよね。星を見たら気分晴れ晴れですから。
Thanks to Corona, we were able to get an idea of how the examinees felt. Then we just had to work out the details. The event is on February 17th. How close is that to the test days?
私立がだいたい2月頭に試験をやって公立が2月末になるかな。
ということはイベント開催日には私立の入試がもう終わっていますね。
私立の結果も出てきて、それを踏まえて公立の受験に挑むって感じかな。
結構ピリピリしていそうなタイミングね。
But that's why the event will be so effective. At least that was what I was hoping. But I didn't think I had the wrong idea. So there's something we want to ask you, Corona. I pulled out a bundle of papers we'd prepared.
何なのこれ。
アンケートですが、2月17日にハーバータウンのプラネタリウムで受験生向けのイベントを開催するとしたら、アンケート用紙であると同時に参加希望受付にもなっています。
The students that circle yes for participation and write their name and school will get priority at the event.
どうかしら。やってもらえる？
The bundle of papers was pretty heavy. We made 200 sheets of A4 size paper. It was a pretty big burden for Corona, as busy as she was with studying.
もちろんいいよ。コロナだってむつら星の一員だもん。
助かりますわ。
でもこれだと容量悪くないかな。紙のアンケートもいいけどネットを活用しなきゃ。
Now that you say it, you're right.
どうして今まで気づかなかったのでしょう。
しっかりしてよね、もう。
むつら星のブログを担当している加納さんにお願いしましょう。
It would take some doing, but once it was set up, there would be almost no work to it.
ブログで告知するだけじゃなくて、アンケート用のフォームを作るといいと思う。
それでは完全にむつら星の会のイベントのように思われてしまわないかしら。
This was something Orihime was doing personally, not a full Six Stars Club event.
ちゃんと書いとけばいいよ。むつら星の会はこのイベントを応援してますって。
同じ星好きの仲間として応援するというスタンスは決して間違っていませんからね。みんなを巻き込んでしまうみたいで申し訳ないのだけれど。
You're not getting us involved. We want to help you.
そうそう。勝手に巻き込まれに来ているだけだし。
今回コロナさんは巻き込んだ形ですよ。
コロナもやりたいって言ったもん。母さんがうるさくなかったらもっといろいろできるんだけど。
ありがとう。無理しない程度に手伝ってね。プラネタリウムイベントに関する意識調査ですね。任せてください。ブログに書く文面とフォームの内容をお願いします。
I contacted Noriko and asked her about the blog. Attacking on two fronts, Corona in real life and Noriko on the net, we would be fine.
これで一安心ね。加納さんに渡す文面はどうしましょう。私がやりますか？いいえ、こっちでやるわ。吉岡は合宿の方で忙しいのでしょ。そこまでではありませんけど、いいからこちらのことは任せてちょうだい。今日は付き合ってくれてありがとう。いいえ、私も会長のお手伝いができて楽しかったですから。
Hanukkah gave a slightly sad smile. She was signaling that she wanted to split up their work and be independent from Orihime, even though it was painfully obvious she couldn't put it into words. So we're finally here, back to Harbor Town.
さあ、リベンジの時よ。腕が鳴るわ。
We rolled up our sleeves and got ready. There was one other here looking at us coldly.
リベンジってそういう話だったっけ
？That's right. It was Naru from Nishikai.
いえ、なんとなくそういう気分になっただけで。
It feels like we're in enemy territory to Orihime and I.
そうかい。
Naru didn't seem moved.
それより姫さん、ちゃんと約束は取れてるんだろうね。任せておいてください。バッチリですわ。
Inside the planetarium after hours, not long before, it must have been filled with the heat of people looking up at the stars.
これがプラネタリウムの投影機か。すごいな。
Her voice was filled with admiration at the old projector enshrined in front of her.
何年前の製品なんだ？どっかに書いてないかな。
こちらの投影機は約60年前のものです。
It was Mr. Morita, the director, who answered her.
かつて別のプラネタリウムにあったものですが、縁あって譲り受けることができました。この投影機があったから当館が生まれたと言っても過言ではないでしょう。
Mr. Morita was just stating the truth, but it came as a bit of a surprise. And so he had built the planetarium because of this projector?
すごい情熱ですわね。
これにはそれだけの価値がある。そう私は思っています。
His expression when he looked up at the rugged, dumbbell-shaped machine was filled with affection, different than when he looked at us. I was sure that he was his true self, and he would have given his life to protect that projector.
わかるよ。すごく。
分かっていただけるのですか？
こいつを見て何も感じない奴はバカだ。その神経を疑うよ。
It seemed like Naru could really understand Mr. Morita's feelings. I could see tears at the corners of her eyes. I guess the history etched into the old projector had really left an impression on her.
館長さん、今日は見学を許可してくれてありがとう。それと、こいつを守ってくれてありがとう。心より感謝してる。
いえ。
Mr. Morita had no words. For most people, this old projector didn't even compare to the newer models. It probably didn't have much value outside of historical value. To the untrained eye, it was likely not much more than scrap metal. Even still, Mr. Morita had taken it in and cared for it. He had even built a whole planetarium around it. Many people probably didn't understand his passion and made fun of him.
それだけ昔の投影機なんだ。レンズもいいんだろうな。こいつが映す星を見てみたいよ。
どうぞこちらに。
Mr. Morita showed us, maybe Maru more than anyone, to the console.
すっげえな。これが制御盤か。
There was a small console covered in switches. Colorful labels were stuck along the side.
シリウスがあって、こちらには流星もありますわ。
There are switches for the planets here.
それぞれのつまみで星を操作するのか。
オペレーターが操作しやすいように説明をつけています。では動かしますよ。
The lights in the dome went off, and suddenly we saw a starless night sky. When Mr. Morito operated the console, the sky filled with stars.
うわー。
こんな感じです。
It was over quickly. It was after hours, so he probably didn't want to stay back too long.
この投影機にしか出せない星があります。他とは違う人工の輝き。私はそれに魅せられた。
最新のじゃ、きっとこうはならないだろうしな。
待ってください。最新の機材の方がより美しい星を映せるのではないのですか？
それは違うよ、姫さん。最新のプラネタリウムでも結局は光学式だ。つまりレンズが命ってことになる。大量生産品としての精度なら今の技術の方が優れているかもしれない。ただこいつは職人が作った芸術品なのさ。その温かみのある味わいがいいんだ。
Honestly, I didn't really understand the difference. But I could tell that those two were taken in by the romance of the old projector. I wondered just how important this planetarium was to Mr. Morita.
イベントをやらせてもらうんならこっちで操作させてもらえたりするのかな。
残念ですがそれはできません。技術のある専門の職員でないと正常に動作させるのは不可能です。
だろうね。
分かっていたけど聞いてみたかったんだ。
Naru smiled with no hint of disappointment.
ではイベント当日は職員の方に操作していただくことになるんですか？
はい。そこは当館のスタッフに任せていただきます。
残念だけど仕方ないね。こうして見せてもらっただけでも私は十分さ。今日はありがとう、館長さん。貴重なものを見せてもらって感謝してるよ。
こちらこそありがとうございました。見学なら歓迎しておりますので、いつでもご連絡ください。
I'm so beat.
私もですわ。
The cold night air felt nice. Orihime breathed deeply to clear her head.
今日は誘ってくれてありがとな。いい勉強になったよ。
Unlike us, Naru looked totally satisfied and refreshed. The purpose of today's tour had been to learn how the planetarium would operate and what would be possible for us. We knew that Naru, with her love of gadgets, would want to see the planetarium, so we had invited her along.
あの館長さん、すげえいい人だな。尊敬できる大人ってのは、ああいうのを言うんだと思うよ。
It seemed Naru really liked Mr. Morita.
森田先生も神野さんのことを随分と気に入ったようですわね。
I was surprised too. I didn't think such a cold gentleman would talk so passionately. It was all because Naru had been there.
ダメって言われたけど、やっぱ自分らで操作してみたいよな。
Yeah, controlling the stars like that, you'd feel like a god. Even as we looked up to the heavens from the earth, we were nothing more than specks of dust to outer space. It was a hard feeling to accept at times, but right now, I couldn't stop thinking what it would be like to have the power to control the stars.
いいなぁ。プラネタリウムの職員。
I thought it would suit Naru. I couldn't help but think about it.
では公開しますね。
Noriko was working on her laptop. She was updating the Six Stars Club blog for the planetarium event.
これでいいと思います。アンケート結果については集まり次第後日まとめてお知らせしますね。ありがとう、加納さん。本当に助かるわ。いえ、今週中に間に合ってよかったです。あと、吉岡さん、脱出についても軽く触れておいたから。ありがとうございます。
While Orihime and I focused on the event, Hanukkah was planning the camp. I didn't know how far along she was. It seemed she was put in charge by Orihime while I wasn't around.
それにしてもわざわざ穴の中から来てもらって遠かったのではないかしら。ネット越しのやり取りもできますけど、たまにはちゃんと顔を合わせたいです。私も皆さんの仲間として参加してる気分になりたいですから。
The event plans had moved ahead one step thanks to Noriko. If we put her data together with Corona's surveys, that would be plenty. The problem was creating our own original program. If we couldn't convince Mr. Morita, the event wouldn't get the green light. Maiku Academy's library is sure something. What a great collection. We parted with Noriko and went to the library to search for ideas and materials.
エスカレーター式の強みね。大学の図書館も利用できるから助かるわ。
I was shocked how different it is from Hoshino Daiichi's. We had come to look for books to use as reference materials. We would be able to make full use of Orihime and Hanukkah's library accounts. Using library books in combination with the internet, we would be able to focus on creating our own program for the planetarium.
白鳥元会長、霧のいいところで今日は終わりにしましょう。
It was already dark outside. Knowing we couldn't stay any longer, Hanukkah recommended that we stop.
あら、もうこんな時間？そうね。あまり遅くなってはご両親も心配されるでしょうし。私のことはいいんです。 ご自身を気遣ってください。そうね、分かったわ。今日はこれまでにしましょう。ではお先に失礼します。それではまた明日。
We saw Hanukkah off first. Orihime waved with a smile, but once Hanukkah was out of sight, she turned to me.
さて続きをやりましょうか。
You weren't listening to Hanukkah at all.
だって時間がないんですもの。今は緊急事態よ。やむを得ない事例だわ。それに資料だっていつまでも借りていられるわけではないのだし。
I knew that. The borrow period of the library was 14 days. We had to borrow as much as we could before the project started at the end of the month. Well, okay, but outsiders can't stay at night, can they? Maiku Academy had pretty tight security. Unlike Hoshino Daiichi, it wouldn't be possible to stay overnight.
なら別の場所ですればいいだけの話ね。
My room again? I was happy to have her come, but I sensed trouble. It would be rude to the manager to let a girl into the room I was staying in.
そうね。毎度毎度空見くんの部屋というのも迷惑な話でしょうから。わかりました。今日はあなたを我が家にご招待しますわ。
No, that's okay. I didn't have the courage to just stroll into the mansion where I was sure her parents were.
なぜです？
It'd be a problem.
家を挙げて歓迎しますから心配無用ですわ。
That's what I was worried about.
やはりこたつですか？こたつがない家になんて行けないと？
That's not it. But if it will make you give up, then let's say that's that. This could get bad if I wasn't careful. I knew that Orihime was tenacious at times like this.
お母様の料理は絶品ですわよ。
Don't think you can lure me with food.
じゃあどうしたら釣れますの？
You can't lure me. I should have told her I had to work.
困ったわね。
If we argue like this here, the guard will worry and come over.
わかりました。今日は私も引き下がりますわ。
It looked like she was finally convinced. I would just have to say goodnight and go home. But somehow things had taken a different turn. Gee, you really are persistent. Just as I had thought Orihime was going home, she had come back with me to my place.
怒ってますの？
I'm just a bit surprised. Mostly with my own stupidity.
ただお邪魔するのも申し訳ないですし、せめてコンビニのお手伝いでも。
Don't worry about it, the store's closed today anyway. Let's go, we'll just freeze if we stay here.
ありがとう、空見くん。
It seemed like she saved her best smiles for times like these. I wondered if she actually knew the effect it had.
やはり季節は冬かしら。
We sat across from each other under the kotatsu, discussing the event's program. Yeah, if we show them off-season constellations, the people watching won't get it.
イベントの帰り道、見上げたら同じ星座が見られるのが理想的ね。
If we match the planetarium with the real stars, they might think to look at the stars themselves. If our event could make some of the younger students interested in the stars, that would make us happy more than anything. Orion is definitely the representative of the Winster constellations.
六つ星の会にちなんで、オリオンに追われたプレアデスの姉妹の物語がいいかしら。コロナさんにも好評でしたし。
If we focus on one, it might be too short.
ならやはり冬の星座を一通り取り扱うしかなくなるのかしら。
We had a similar discussion at the Maiku Astronomy Club. As long as the season was winter, our event couldn't help but overlap with the planetarium's program. They were all trained professionals. If we did the same thing, it would be inferior.
観客が試験を控えた受験生なら、神話の内容もハッピーエンドが望ましいですわね。
There are a lot that end in tragedy. We don't want to depress them.
なかなか難しいわね。
We couldn't really decide on an idea. I flipped through the books we had brought, but nothing gave inspiration.
やはり星座神話なんて古臭いだけなのかしら。
She mumbled a complaint. She was always so strong in front of people, but sometimes she showed her vulnerable side. There are some good points, too. Old stories have universal truths. Though some would say that was just old-fashioned, too. But there are many people who find old things charming, like the director in Naru.
でも相手はコロナさんたち受験生ですから。
Which constellation myth would make examinees happy? They were students tired from studying. They would want quick relief. Showing constellations to people not interested in the stars would probably just bore them. Right, I guess we have to consider that.
あれと言いますと
The other planetarium's other type of program, the one for couples. It was similarly for those not interested in the stars. And it was designed for quick enjoyment. The voice is going to be the trick. The former actress's voice was still fresh in my mind. Just hearing that voice had been soothing.
月浦美琴ですか。
Right, Miss Sakura. I think you should be like her. You should do the same thing, Orihime. I know you'll do well.
私の声でですか。それは少々無理があるような。あちらはプロなのよ。素人学生の声で太刀打ちできるとはとても思えないわ。
Maybe not, but still. I didn't know how they would compare, but I thought Orihime's voice was charming. And she put on a slight act since I met her. She was definitely suited to it.
ちょっとあまりじっと見つめないでもらえます？
Sorry, I didn't mean to. But I couldn't help but look. Maybe it didn't really have anything to do with the planetarium, but she really was a beauty. Try standing like this.
はい。
As she stood up from the kotatsu like I asked. This will be fine script. Read these lines.
いきなり？
You'll have plenty of practice for the main event, so you don't need to worry. I gave her a book of myths that started to open and had her read it.
困ったわね。
She was embarrassed, but she didn't refuse. Orihime reluctantly started.
おお、冥界の王ハデスよ。どうか私の妻エウリディケをお返しください。
It was the myth of Lyra, the story of Orpheus and his wife Eurydice.
自慢の盾ごとを鳴らしながらオルフェウスは何度も何度も懇願します。しかしハデスは聞き入れてくれません。
お願いです、エウリディケを。くどい。お前の妻は死んだのだ。現世に返すわけにはいかぬ。
お待ちくださいませ、あなた。私にはこの者の苦しみがよくわかります。彼に妻を返してあげていただけませんか。それはハデスの妻ペルセポネでした。彼女は農業の神デメテールの娘です。
何を言うか、ペルセポネよ。情に流されて世の断りを変えてはならん。
ですがあなた、愛し合う二人を裂くのはかわいそうですわ。ペルセポネはかつて地上で幸せに暮らしていました。ハデスに見初められ冥界に来ましたが、あの幸せな日々をずっと懐かしく思っていたのです。
お願いします、ハデス様。何とぞ妻を、エウリディケをお返しください。
私からもお願いします。どうぞお慈悲を。
Okay, enough. I clapped my hands to stop her reading.
どうでしたか？
It was really good. I knew you'd be a great performer.
そんなことは。
It was better than I thought it would be. I'm not Hades, but I almost gave in to you. After that, Orpheus had gotten Hades' permission and left the underworld with his wife. But he broke a promise not to look back until they had left the underworld, and he lost his wife Eurydice once again. From the sorrow of losing his wife, Orpheus took his own. His lyre, the only thing left, now plays sadly in the night sky. How about it? Want to try it like that? You performing a reading of the constellation myth. Stories were a great way to get people interested. If the voice reading was charged with emotion, the starry sky would change into a theater.
朗読劇ですか。それは盲点でしたわね。
I know it will be great. Let's do it. It was worth trying. It just depended on how Orihime felt. Orihime? Like Orpheus to Hades. I had no Persephone to back me up, but I would get my wish.
わかりました。やらせていただきます。あなたにそこまで望まれてはノーとは言えませんもの。それにオルフェウスが求めたのにハデスが拒むわけにはいきませんからね。もう迷いません。決して振り返りませんわ。
That's my line.
いいじゃない、どちらでも。今はオルフェウスのような気持ちなんです。
Orihime no longer had any worry or doubt. She smiled brightly, like she had shrugged everything off.
空見くん、私、急に星が見たくなりました。連れて行ってください。
Sorry, Kotaru, it's not time for a walk. Apologizing to Kotaru, I got on my bicycle. We'll have to ride double, is that okay? I asked her, indicating the cargo stand. It was just too hard and cold for a princess like Orihime.
もちろん、望むところですわ。
She sat on it without hesitation. Here we go, hold on. I pedaled down the dark mountain roads. Each time I pushed hard on the pedals, the bicycle leaned.
不安定ですわね。
You'll be fine if you hold on.
こうね。
Her hands that were holding my coat wrapped around my body slightly more than necessary. As she pulled herself closer, I could feel the heat coming from the softness of her body. So how do you like riding double?
最初は不安でした。すごくドキドキして。でも同時にワクワクもして。
How about now?
最高ですわ。
I just wanted to keep pedaling forever. Past the sky, into the Milky Way.
見て、あんなに星が。
I looked above my head while pedaling.
星がいっぱいすぎて。星座が探せない。
Past midnight, the winter sky was getting even darker, the stars starting to shine even brighter. It was even more impressive than the sky we had seen at the stargazing on Christmas Eve. There were so many stars, they looked like they would fall into us.
止めて。
I stopped my bicycle like she asked. We were just on top of Hoshino Dam. Unable to wait, she jumped off the cargo stand.
いい場所ね。とっても。
It's still a little bright for watching the stars.
そうではなくて、このあなたが暮らした三日月村のことよ。
The old Mikazaki village as I knew it had been sunk by the dam. The dream of the Mikazaki Astronomy Club had never come true, but there were still people who liked this place all the same. She suddenly laid down in the middle of the bridge over the dam. Orihime?
とてもいい眺めよ。
She patted the ground next to her. I lay down next to her as if guided. It's cold,
アスファルトに直接だもの。仕方ないわ。
but she didn't move to get up. The ground froze me through my coat. The cold of winter chilled me to the core.
まさかこんなところで寝転んで星を見るなんてね。
That's my line.
ごめんなさい、急に。でも今こうしてみたかったの。この瞬間にこの星空を。
She touched my hand like she was looking for warmth. I took her hand wordlessly.
人って暖かいのね。
I'm glad I'm with you.
そうね。
She gently gripped my hand. My pounding pulse warmed my cold body from the inside. Even if that was an illusion, our linked hands in that place were real.
そろそろ限界。
Unable to stand it, she jumped up. My dream was coming to an end. What should we do now? If we were going to keep stargazing, it would be best to head down to the lakeside observation spot. Though it wouldn't have been too bad to go back home.
寒いし帰りましょう。
Got it! I got my bicycle again. We would be riding double. Yet again. But she just stared and didn't get on. Orihime?
行きは空見くんに乗せてもらったから帰りは私が運転しますわ。
She gripped the handlebars with shining eyes.
さあ行きますわよ。出発進行。
I jumped quickly onto the cargo stand. We moved along unsteadily. But Orihime seemed to be enjoying herself. Whoa, careful!
しっかり捕まっていないと怪我しますわよ。それ。
She pushed the pedals powerfully. I balanced desperately on the back, but went with her.
今日初めて自転車の二人乗りをしました。そしてとても素敵な星空を眺めました。こんな幸せな夜があっていいのかしら。
Her pedaling eventually calmed down and the bicycle sped up. The downhill mountain roads were like a roller coaster.
もっとギュッと捕まって。
I know! I wrapped my arms around her hips and held on tight. They were surprisingly slim hips, different from a man's. Her flowing hair gave off a sweet smell.
こんな風に抱きしめられるのは生まれて初めてのことですわ。
I couldn't see Orihime's face, but I was sure it was the same as mine. This is a first for me, too. I mumbled softly with my face pressed into her back.
何かありましたか？
This was it. I realized something. I realized why I felt the way I did. I like you. That's what I said. I told her my feelings still pressed into her back. Did she hear me? No, I didn't care if she did. I liked this person. I liked Orihime Shiratori. I just needed to be sure of it myself. That was all I needed. I still didn't know if Orihime had heard my confession. In the end, she hadn't stayed with me, but had called for a ride home. Okay, breakfast time, eat up! I fed Kotaru as soon as we got back from his walk. He was happy so early in the morning. I wished I could have had some of his energy.
朗読劇に決まったんだ。
I was talking to Saya, who had brought me some food while I was at work. Orihime has a good voice and can act, so I think it'll be good.
いいんじゃないかな。
Anyway, I really need a favor from you, Saya. Can you take care of Orihime's outfit? After I finished work, I brought Saya to the Maiku Astronomy Club.
よく来てくれたわね、さやさん。
Orihime greeted her with a smile. Hanuka was nowhere to be seen.
吉岡さんは？今日は休日でしょ。わざわざ呼び出すの悪いと思って。
She was having Hanuka work hard on the training camp. We couldn't trouble her with our event.
衣装の件で話があると、アキト君から聞いてるんですけど。そうなのよ。これを見ていただけるかしら。
She pulled out a Greek toga costume.
これ。
Don't look at me.
でも、アキト君は女装で着た服だよね。その通りですわ。イベントの衣装にこれを使うのもいいんですが。
It's a special event, so I was thinking we could make it more fancy.
なるほど。でも、どうして私に？
Saya wasn't especially good at sewing. That was well known. We don't actually want you to do it, Saya.
聖戦女子の天文部の方に相談に乗ってもらえないかしら。うちの天文部に？
The Seisen Astronomy Club draws comics, right? So I was thinking they might know about cosplay.
ちょっと聞いてみないとわからないけど、コスプレ衣装ならお願いできそうな気がする。私、一緒にコスプレしようって誘われたことあるし。
I hadn't heard about that. I wondered what kind of cosplay Saya had done.
してないからね。本当だよ。
Did you take pictures?
だからコスプレしてないってば。
It seems she really hadn't done it. That was a little disappointing.
それで生鮮天文部の方に話をしてもらえるかしら。それはもちろんお引き受けします。ただ何かサイズを測ったり試着したりいろいろしてもらうことになると思いますけど、大丈夫ですか？もちろん女性だけでしたら問題ありませんわ。じゃあ月曜に早速話してみますね。ありがとう、さやさん。助かるわ。
For the moment, we were finished with Saya. We could have parted there or gotten ready for the event.
私も手伝おうか？
That would be a big help. If she didn't help, I'd be alone with Orihime. But I didn't want that today, so I asked Saya.
ここの本を調べればいいんだよね。ええ、お願いします。
We rifled through the mountain of materials on the desk. We still hadn't decided on the myth to use for the event.
星座神話って言っても難しいよね。
I know, there's a lot, but they're all short.
朗読劇にしようと思うとなかなか。取り扱いたいテーマはないんですか？例えば恋のお話とか。
Love, right? Love. Most constellation myths were about love. The passionate love of the gods had given birth to many tragedies.
実際のプラネタリウムではどういう感じで扱ってるんですか？
I guess they just present them as you normally would. They try to include little jokes and things like that.
これから受験を控える後輩たちに悲しい物語を聞かせて良いものかどうか。
That was the thing concerning Orihime the most.
ごめんね、わざわざバスを使わせちゃって。
It's fine, I'm the one who asked you to come. Saya and I rode the bus to Mikazaki Station.
白鳥さんってあんなに悩む人だったんだね。
I always thought she was.
それみんな気づいてないと思うよ。多分知ってるのはアキト君と吉岡さんくらいじゃないかな。
That may be true. She was a leader, always acting strong and not showing her weaknesses.
アキト君にはそういうとこ見せてるんだね。
Saya mumbled softly. I didn't really notice it, but how did it look to other people?
ねえ、あっくん、
What?
白鳥さんのこと好きになっちゃった？
Huh? It was so sudden, I shouted. Why are you asking that?
見てればわかるよ。
Orihime, Saya, and I. How much attention did I pay when the three of us were together?
別に怒ったりしないから。アキト君の気持ち私に教えて。
Saya's eyes looked straight into mine. Blue and yellow, the two colors of El Biario. Faced with it, I couldn't lie or cover it up. Yeah, I like her.
やっぱりねえ、アキト君はあの人のどこが好きになったの？
I don't know, I can't put it into words, but I can't help looking at her.
そっか。恋ってそういうものなのかもね。
What did she mean by that?
気持ちっていうのはね、ちゃんと伝わると思うよ。だから自分のしたいこと、考えてることを詰め込んだらどうかな。
Are you talking about the script for the reading? Even after I went back to my room after work, I thought about what Saya had said. Put what I want to do into it. What did I want to do? What was I thinking? The more I thought about it, the less I knew. My thoughts went in all directions. Let's go, Kotaru. I got Kotaru and walked under the clear winter sky. Look, Kotaru, it's Orion. I saw the giant constellation of Orion in the southern sky. It was a very popular constellation, maybe even the most popular one. What was Orion thinking? Orion had many faces depending on the myth. A roughneck, amorous, and proud hunter, and in stories he was hated for his savagery. But he was also portrayed differently. There were many interpretations of Greek myths too. No one could say which one was correct. If I'm not sure the way, I should just decide myself. No one knew what was correct. If so, then I could choose what I liked and what I didn't, what I wanted to do. I should have said the same thing to Orihime. I'll tell her tomorrow. I'll ask her to let me write the script. In the end, Orihime had easily agreed. She hadn't really thought about the script. Leaving it to me made things easier for her. She had her own work to do, so I was in charge of the script and she was in charge of everything else. Here we were again, finished with finished plans in hand. We were ready.
大丈夫かしら
If there's anything to worry about, it's my script. There was no problem with the plan itself, but I just wasn't confident in the script.
見せてもらった感じではなかなか悪くないと思ったけれど
Thank you, but we have to worry about what we have to worry about as a director.
森田先生のお眼鏡にかなうかどうかといったところかしらね
It wasn't just me. Orihime wasn't a fan of Mr. Morita either. He wasn't a bad person, he just seemed excessively strict.
そろそろ約束の時間よ行きましょう
Let's do it. It was after hours at the planetarium. We had made an appointment with Mr. Morita to show him our plans.
持ってきましたか。では拝見しましょう。
よろしくお願いします
Mr. Morita began reading our proposal without changing his expression. But that changed quickly.
おお、受験生に向けたイベントですか。
我々の後輩にこそ星の素晴らしさを知ってもらいたくて
We thought it would be a good break from studying.
客層を絞るのは悪くありません。
He praised us with short words. It wasn't a bad feeling.
アンケートも取ったのですか。紙とネットでこれだけの数を。
企画に説得力がないとご納得いただけないかと思いまして
その通りです。
It seemed like we were doing well. The data gathered by Corona and Noriko supported our proposal. We had also attached a current list of people who wanted to attend. If the place was empty when the event actually happened, there would be no point.
なるほど。一通り拝見しました。
どうでしょうか
いくつか修正をしていただきたい箇所があります。ですが、大筋では問題なさそうですね。
ということは
許可しましょう。あなた方の作るプラネタリウムの夜。
We had finally gotten the okay. I instantly relaxed with relief.
まだ安心するのは早いですよ。この脚本、このままではいささか稚拙すぎます。
Oh, I'll be fixing that.
実際に機材と連動させる都合もあります。詳細はこちらで打ち合わせをしていきましょう。
I'll make sure to.
他にはありませんか
そうですね。細かい点については後ほど箇条書きにしてお渡しします。ですが一つだけ、未来ある若者たちに本物の星を見てほしい。そう願うのならば、ここは変えた方がいい。
Mr. Morita got out a pen and wrote on the proposal.
イベント開始は夕刻にしなさい。そうすれば終わる頃には星空が待っていますから。
Leading up to the event, we had a great deal to do. Mr. Morita, the director, was of great help after he gave us our plan the green light. We worked together with the planetarium staff to prepare the show. We wanted to make the best event possible. The staff had deep knowledge and experience. They helped us out a lot. Even so, this was our event. As much as possible, we put our own spin on it to make it feel like it was ours. It was a busy but also enjoyable time. It was over before we knew it. The event was tomorrow, and we were overwhelmed with final preparations.
参加希望者のリストはこれでよかったかしら。
That's not the newest one. Noriko, can you print out the newest one?
はい、すぐ出しますね。アキトくん、衣装の最終確認、今いいかな。
Orihime, can you free yourself up?
5分待ってください。吉岡、こちらを手伝って。大至急。わかりました。
It was the day before the event, but it was chaos. Out of the Six Stars Club members, Naru and Kaisuke weren't there, but would help out tomorrow at the event. Corona wasn't able to go out because she had to study.
衣装、どんな感じに仕上がったんですか？神秘的ですごく素敵な感じですよ。少々露出度が高いと思うのですけど、そこはもう散々話し合ったじゃないですか。でもやっぱり恥ずかしいですよ。
I heard there had been quite a stir with the members of Sai's and the Girls Astronomy Club. They could put a beauty like Orihime in cosplay. They had been instantly excited by the prospect. But they had gotten a little too excited, and the costume design ended up being pretty risque. So much that Orihime flat out said she wouldn't wear it when she first saw it. After much adjusting, the costume was supposed to have been toned down a little.
やはり肌を見せすぎです。ポロリはしないように作ってもらってますから。そういう問題じゃありませんわ。
So it was something she could fall out of? I found that very interesting.
空見くん、想像をたくましくするのは自由ですが、いやらしい顔になっていますね。
Huh?
ほっとくんのエッチ。
I can't help it. I haven't seen the finished costume.
見せられるはずないでしょう。こんなアレンジな。
Is it that bad? With Orihime acting like that, my anticipation only grew. I didn't think that a simple reading at the planetarium needed such a flashy costume, though. It seemed the cosplay lovers at Sison Girls went above and beyond what was needed.
参加希望者とは別に当日客も入れるんですよね。そのつもりです。席はまだ空きがありますから。なら白鳥さんの衣装姿をブログにアップしたらどうでしょう。絶対にダメ。すごく似合ってると思いますけど。似合う似合わないの問題ではありません。あんな格好インターネットに流出させたらお母様に叱られてしまいます。
So just give it up, Noriko. We couldn't get her in trouble with her parents.
わかりました。残念ですけど仕方ないですよね。
If we put up Orihime's picture, I was sure we'd get a good crowd. But it wouldn't be quite right to bring people in just by using a risque costume. There were plenty of people already planning to come, and it would work against what we wanted to achieve. The event preparations continued into the night.
物質利用の延長申請してきました。ありがとう、吉岡。助かるわ。ですが延長するだけですよ。限度はありますからね。分かっています。場所を変えて空見くんの部屋でというのは許可できませんから。分かってるわよ。それについては散々謝ったじゃない。
I'm sorry about that. I was mostly at fault for that. Monica found out later that I had let Orihime in my room late into the night.
別にいいじゃないの。何もなかったのだから。何かあってからでは遅すぎます。分かったわよ。
Even Orihime seemed to realize it was thoughtless. After that, she didn't come to my room alone again.
それともあれかしら。正式にお付き合いしてしまえば問題なくなる。白鳥織姫元会長。
Hey, you shouldn't want to date someone just so you can use their room.
そうよね。ごめんなさい。
She realized she said too much and apologized.
まったくあなたという人は隙がありすぎるんです。もっと自分というものを正しく認識してください。ただでさえ頻繁に告白されているのですから。
Really? It was obvious when I thought about it. She was so beautiful. The boys must have been all over her.
たまにラブレターをもらう程度よ。全部お断りしているわ。
Wasn't there anyone you wanted to date?
話が合いそうもない相手と交際なんてできないでしょ。
星好きでないと話が合いませんから。
Okay, I can understand that. Someone who wasn't interested in stars probably didn't have a chance.
恋愛には私も興味がないわけではないのですけれど。
それは初耳です。
私だって恋に憧れる乙女よ。それに小さい頃からお母様ののろけ話ばかり聞かされていたのだから。
Wouldn't that make you sick of them?
全然。むしろ私もあんな恋がしてみたいとずっと憧れていたわ。
Orihime's parents were said to be deeply in love. Apparently, her father's proposal was so dramatic that her mother had just swooned.
お母様はね、プラネタリウムで告白されたの。だから余計に星に思い入れがあるみたい。私もすっかりそれに感化されてしまったわ。もし私が誰かとお付き合いすることになるとしたら、その時はお母様のような恋がしてみたいと思っているの。高望みなのは分かっているのだけどね。
Orihime gave a bitter smile. She was setting the bar really high. I was relieved and nervous at the same time. I wondered if it was possible for me to be the one for her. We stayed right into the end of our extended time. Then it was time to leave. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow.
いよいよ明日ね。
So, how do you feel?
楽しみよ。でも同時に不安でたまらないわ。
I feel the same. We were feeling the same excitement as the day before School Culture Festival.
興奮して今夜は寝つけないかもしれませんね。
その時は連絡して付き合うわ。
何を言ってるんですか。ダメですよそんなの。
吉岡は付き合ってくれないの？
当たり前です。余計に眠れなくなるじゃないですか。
じゃあ
Orihime turned her pouting gaze toward me. I want to say no, but I'll stay up with you for a while. I understand how you feel.
空見くん、うちの会長を甘やかさないでください。
元会長でしょ。
She said this, raising a finger to Hanuka. Orihime snapped her finger on Hanuka's forehead. What's happening?
いつまで経っても会長って呼ぶものだからペナルティを与えることにしたのよ。
会長っていうたびにデコピン一発なんです。えい、あいた。今のはなしです。
例外は認めません。
元会長の意地悪。
でも緊張は適度にほぐれたようね。
After that ridiculous exchange, she seemed to have relaxed.
明日はイベント当日よ。ゆっくり休んで本番に備えてちょうだい。
わかりました。
I rode my bicycle down the night streets, from Maiku Academy to Mikuseki Station. Following the ridge, the road became steeper and steeper. I stood on the pedals, and my breath got ragged. It was offset by the stinging cold air. I was no longer nervous, but I just got more excited. Whatever I had thought about, I was sure I'd sleep blissfully. All that came to mind was Orihime. This is what you call love. This is the first time I'd experienced this. An excitement different from the night. I ran from my grandfather's house with my telescope ran through my body. I love Orihime! I screamed it to no one. But the emotion was so much that I couldn't keep it in. Tomorrow was the main event. Would Orihime have a sleepless night too? The moment we had been waiting for crept slowly closer. Harbor Town was filled with people buying dinner. Another group of people started to gather in the crowd. That is, the potential future astronomy club students that had come for the event.
アキニちゃんと来たよ。いよいよだね。
Hi!
飽きたわ。
So you had to come with Taki, huh?
俺がついていくってことで、ようやく許可が下りたんだよ。
ああ、お兄ちゃんがいなくてもコロナ平気なのに。
んなわけあるか。
The brother and sister bickered like always, but it wasn't a hateful bickering. Oh, that's right, Corona. Congratulations on getting into Maiku Academy. The result for the Maiku Academy test had already been published. Corona had passed with flying colors. Next year, she'd wear the same uniform as Orihime.
ありがとう、アキニ。でも、おめでとうって言ってもらうのもう8回目だよ。
って、回数覚えてんのかよ。
当たり前じゃん。だって嬉しいことなんだもん。
Free from her tests, Corona was full of energy. She had been on edge before the test, but now that she'd passed, she was more energetic than ever.
あんまり邪魔しちゃ悪いよね。イベント、すごく楽しみにしてるから。
俺はこいつのおもりをするけど、何かあったら言えよ。手伝うから。
Thanks, Take. I'll ask if I need anything. We high-fived and parted ways.
それじゃあ、アキニ、また。
The Kasukabes went into the planetarium. I could see Saya and Kaisuke greeting people as they entered.
おーい、空見くん。
Is it almost time?
そうだよ。こっちに来てくれ。
Got it! I went to the planetarium with Naru.
イベントは盛況のようですね。喜ばしいことです。
Mr. Morita called out to us once we entered the dome. The seats were already halfway full. They looked like they'd fill up soon. Mr. Morita, thank you for today.
こちらこそよろしくお願いします。協力していいイベントにしましょう。
I shook hands with him. I always thought he was scary, but tonight we were partners. He had been even stricter once we had given us the okay, but we had the same goal, and we worked together.
これだけの若い方々が集まるとは思いませんでした。
According to Mr. Morita, usually young children and older people attended the special openings. The concept of gathering only school students was exciting, and it had the potential to increase the students' interest in astronomy. We do have some promising younger students. They did some good work.
素晴らしいことです。しかし、問題はこれからです。イベントの結果次第では失望されかねません。
Do you think that will happen?
どうでしょう。ただ個人的には成功してほしいと願っていますよ。
With those words of encouragement, Mr. Morita left. I thought Naru would jump into the conversation, but she was just speaking heatedly with a staff member by the control console. She must have really been interested in it. She was asking questions unrelated to the event.
空見くん、そちらの様子はいかがですか？
Naru and I will do fine together.
よろしくお願いしますね。
Naru and I were in charge of the projector, while Orihime and Hanukkah were keeping the event moving. The rest of the members were in charge of the guests and other tasks during the night. The event had ended up including all of the Six Stars Club members, but that was okay. After seeing Orihime's intentions for the event, everyone had agreed to help in the end. It would benefit everyone, and with their love of the stars, everyone was glad to participate. Is she ready?
着替え終わって、今は控室で待機中です。
If I went in and checked on her?
勘弁してください。ただでさえ恥ずかしいと言っているんですから。
In the end, I had never seen the outfit. All the female members had seen it, and they all seemed to like it. Only Kaisuke and I were left behind.
聖戦女子の方に
メイクもしていただきました。ですからすごいですよ。期待してくださいね。
Hanukkah stoked my anticipation. I couldn't wait for the event to start. The empty seats filled slowly up. People's voices were raised in a buzz. They were blowing off steam from studying, or overly excited by getting into the school of their choices, like Corona. Either way, the dome was filled with younger students from our schools.
空見くん、
Naru beckoned over to me. It's almost time.
皆さん、本日はご来場いただき誠にありがとうございます。
With Hanukkah's greeting, the time to begin had come.
こちらのプラネタリウムのご好意によりイベント開催の運びとなりました。私たちは星の中市六校の天文部のグループ、むつら星の会と言います。ご存知の方もいるかもしれません。初めて知ったという方もいると思います。受験勉強でお疲れの皆様の気分転換になればと思い、今回イベントを企画しました。もし星に興味をお持ちになりましたら、来年の春天文部のドアを叩いてください。我々は新しい仲間を歓迎します。どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。
There was soft applause in response, soft enough to not disrupt the quiet atmosphere.
お待たせしました。それではいよいよイベントが始まります。むつら星の会前会長である白鳥織姫による朗読劇、冬のオリオンと恋物語です。
When Hanukkah announced the title, the lights in the dome dimmed. The planetarium went quiet, just like the movie theater before the show starts. From the side stage, or rather the entrance door, a single girl walked slowly inside. She was lit thinly by a spotlight.
Minasan, konnichiwa. 白鳥織姫です。本日は星座と神話の世界に皆さんをご案内したいと思います。
Now that I finally saw Orihime's outfit, it was certainly striking. Her dress, made of twined layers of transparent cloth, was so beautiful it made all those who saw it catch their breath. It was a simple costume, but the eye was drawn to the accessories that adorned it. That is quite a costume. But Orihime fit right in wearing it, surrounded by all those stars. As she stood there, she looked benevolent. It was almost like a divine spirit was radiating from her.
現在、時間は17時を少し回ったところです。星の中市は間もなく日没を迎えます。まずは今の空をここに再現してみましょう。
With the assistance of the projector, the sunset was reproduced. An orange light, slightly thinner than the real thing, spread through the dome.
実際にはもっと夜に近い色の空だと思います。ではもう少し時間を進めてみましょう。
At my signal, the staff member operated the console. The sky moved and changed quickly to the winter stars.
こちらが夜8時の星の中市の空です。ご覧ください。この雄大な星々の連なりを。冬の夜空でもひときわ目立つのがオリオン座です。皆さんもご存知かと思いますが、念のため。
Naru was in charge of the pointer. She pointed out the Orion constellation on the screen.
これがオリオン座です。皆さんも理科の授業で勉強して知っていると思います。昔の人は星の並びを見てそれを絵に例えました。皆さんはここに狩人の姿が見えますか？ちょっと難しいですよね。昔の人にはこんな風にオリオンが見えていたようです。
I made a signal to the staff member. The projector worked, and an outline of Orion appeared over the stars.
どうでしょう、オリオンの勇壮な姿は。かっこいいですか、それとも怖い？神話の中でもオリオンは様々な形で描かれています。強いオリオン、野蛮なオリオン、そして濃い大きいオリオン。そんなオリオンにまつわる星座神話を皆さんにご紹介したいと思います。まずは月の女神アルテミスとオリオンの恋物語です。
This was the end of the introduction. Now the curtain would open on Orihime's reading.
オリオンは海の神ポセイドンを父に、ミノス王の娘エウリュアレイを母に生まれた英雄です。人並み外れた体格と類まれなる美しさを持ち、優れた狩人としてその名を轟かせていました。そんなオリオンの有名を聞いた月の女神アルテミス、彼に興味を持ち声をかけます。オリオン様、私と一緒に狩りをいたしましょう。ぜひお供させてください。どちらがより獲物を取れるか競うとしましょう。狩りが得意なアルテミスは自慢の弓を使い、たくさんの獲物を狩っていきます。どうですか、オリオン様。私の弓にはとてもかなわないでしょう。
さすがアルテミス様。ですが俺も負けません。
手数はアルテミスが圧倒的に上。とても獲物の数ではかないません。オリオンの奮闘むなしく、その差は開いていくばかり。どうですか、これで私の勝ちのはずですわ。アルテミスの前には獲物が渦高く積み上げられています。そんな彼女の前にオリオンは自分の獲物を置きました。
獲物の数ならあなたには遠く及びません。だが大きさなら俺の勝ちです。
アルテミスの獲物はウサギや鹿ばかり。とてもオリオンの取ったクマには及びません。なんて見事なクマでしょう。
数はあなたの勝ち、大きさは俺の勝ちです。この勝負引き分けですな。
あなたのおっしゃる通りですわ、オリオン様。今日のところは引き分けにしましょう。ですが次こそはあなた以上の大物を仕留めてみせますわ。こうしてアルテミスはオリオンとの勝負を続けることになります。しかし何度やっても引き分けばかり。獲物の数ではアルテミスの圧勝なのに、オリオンより大きな獲物を狩ることができません。どうしてあのお方にだけは勝てないの？アルテミスはオリオンの有能さを見せつけられ、次第に惹かれていきます。オリオン様。アルテミスはオリオンへの恋心を募らせていくばかり。告白もできないまま二人の狩りは続きます。あの方と狩りをしている時間が一番幸せ。オリオンも美しく凛々しいアルテミスに次第に思いを寄せるようになります。
あれほど美しい人なのに、弓の腕前は俺をはるかにしのぐとは。
狩りの時間が二人の仰せ。思いを切り出せぬまま月日は流れていきます。やりましたわ。ご覧ください。こんなに大きなイノシシを仕留めました。
なんとすごい。さすがアルテミス様。俺の負けです。
ついにアルテミスがオリオンに勝ってしまいます。長かった引き分けは終わりを迎えてしまうのです。でも勝ったアルテミスはちっとも嬉しくありません。どうしてか寂しさばかりが募っていきます。
どうしたのですか？勝負はあなたの勝ちです。嬉しくはないのですか？
オリオン様に勝ったことは嬉しく思いますわ。でもこれで私たちの勝負が終わってしまうかと思う
と。俺も同じです。これであなたとの狩りを終わりにしたくない。
オリオン様。思わずオリオンに抱きつくアルテミス。 そのまま熱い口づけを交わします。ああ、オリオン様、あなたのことが好き。
俺もです、アルテミス様。いえ、アルテミス、俺もあなたが好きだ。
こうして二人は互いに思いを伝え合い、恋人同士になったのです。
The story of Orion and Artemis's love. Orihime's serious performance stoked the crowd's emotions. I heard the faint squeals of girls. The reading's first act had gone perfectly.
今の話、空見くんの創作なんだよね。
I wrote the base of it, but a lot of people helped.
でも、ベースはそうなんだ。
She kept teasing her teasing gaze on me. Stop that, you're making me embarrassed. I knew that it was embarrassing. But weren't all love stories that way?
悪い悪い。いや、なかなかよくできてるなって褒めてあげたかったんだよ。
Naru was smiling. She didn't look like she was teasing.
あんたのことずっと疑問に思ってたんだ。聖戦のあの子とかツインテの子とか可愛い子揃いなのにちっとも興味なさそうだったから。こやつもしかしてゲイってね。あの竹市ってことくっついてるのかと思ってたよ。
Don't give me a break.
悪い悪い。でもさ、さすがに勘違いだと気づいたよ。だってあんた恋してるんだろ。わかるよ、それくらい。私だって女なんだしさ。
Naru didn't say who she thought I loved, but I was sure it was obvious. Thinking that, my face turned red.
悪いね、水を差しちゃって。ほら、姫さんの演技続いてるよ。しっかり聞いてやんなきゃ。
Naru stopped me from talking and returned her attention to Orihime's reading. Orihime told stories from Artemis's love to Apollo's deceit up to Orion's violent death. Orihime read with emotion. The myths she performed charmed the audience. And the way she looks, just like a goddess from a Greek myth. The light illuminating her was out, but the dim light from the projector lit her softly. Mysterious, noble, and fragile, her luxurious beauty couldn't be expressed in a single word. I bet this is how Orion saw Artemis, my moon goddess. Her form shining in the night in the sky was unreachable, but she had come down to earth where Orion was.
ああ、オリオン様、愛しい愛しいオリオン様、私は何ということをしてしまったのでしょう。あなたに恋をしたばかりにこんなに弱い女になってしまいました。自らの矢でオリオンを射殺してしまった事実がアルテミスを苛みます。あなたともう一度狩りがしたい。共に脳をかけたあの日々はもう戻らないのでしょうか。悲嘆に暮れるアルテミス、それを哀れに思ったのは彼女の父ゼウスでした。
我が娘アルテミスよ。
お父様、どうか私の恋人オリオンを生き返らせてください。
それはならぬ。世の断りを変えることは我でも許されぬこと
ですが、オリオン様を失った今、私はこれ以上生きていけません。ゼウスは娘の悲しみがこれほどとは思いませんでした。でもオリオンを蘇らせることはできません。
聞きなさい、我が娘アルテミスよ。オリオンを生き返らせることはできぬ。だがお前と再び会えるようにしてやろう。
ゼウスは自らの力を使い、オリオンの亡骸を夜空に飛ばしました。
月の女神であるお前ならオリオンのもとへ行くこともできよう。
ありがとうございます、お父様。アルテミスは銀の馬車に乗り、夜空に浮かぶオリオンに会いに行きます。オリオン様、
あ
あの懐かしい日々を思い出すように、オリオンとアルテミスは狩りをするのです。夜空に月と星が巡り続ける限り、いつまでも。
Orion was displayed again. The savage Orion who chased the Pleiades sisters looked kind and courageous. It was hard to say that Artemis and Orion's story had a happy ending, but thinking their love beautiful, I had ended it like that. I couldn't leave the examinees feeling sad. Their love had lasted forever. Would my feelings reach the moon goddess? In the end, our planetarium event had been a huge success. When it came to the stories of Orion, some were definitely better than others, but thanks to Orihime's performance, they had all been entertaining. Corona and Takeichi found me and ran over.
姫ちゃんすごかったね。もう女優さんみたい。
さすがに美人は様になってたな。っていうかお前、ナルエちゃんとずっと一緒だっただろ。
What am I gonna do? That was my job. I didn't try anything, so don't worry.
当たり前だ。
It seemed Takeichi followed all of Naru's movements around the dome.
今日はここで解散になるのかな。
はい。
じゃあ最後に姫ちゃんが言ってたみたいに星を見ながら帰ろうっと。お兄ちゃん帰るよ。
ちょっと待て、まだナルエちゃんに挨拶してないんだって。
挨拶したってどうせ無理だと思うけどな。
てめえ
それじゃあね、アキニ。バイバイ。
Corona ran off in the direction of home, and Takeichi chased after her. The other kids, looking up at the sky and talking to their friends, slowly made their way home. I went back into the planetarium, and it was empty of guests. The dome was deserted. Mr. Morita was standing silently. He wasn't looking at the old projector or at the stars projected on the screen. He was staring at the seats. Mr. Morita.
何かありましたか?
No, I wanted to say goodnight. The event finished without a hitch. It's all thanks to you and your staff.
いえ、それは違います。我々は設備を提供し、あなた方のアイデアに力を貸しただけです。今日のイベントはあなた方のものです。イベント成功おめでとう。
I took his outstretched hand and shook it.
後片付けが済んだら遅くならないうちに帰りなさい。若者には星を見る時間が必要ですから。
When Mr. Morita said that, I got embarrassed, turned around and left. He must have been feeling sentimental after the event. Even I could feel a strange and sourceless fuzzy feeling.
空見くん、こちらは撤収準備 OK です。
The outside looked fine too. Sai and Kaisuke are still there.
お二人がいれば大丈夫ですね。
What about Orihime?
そろそろメイクを落として戻ってくる頃だと思いますが。来ました。ほら、あそこに。
The one I was looking for appeared at the staff entrance. She hesitated at first, but soon trotted over to me.
ただいま。
The words I'd heard in my dreams. Hi, welcome back. She was a goddess, but she returned to Earth. That's what those words meant to me.
吉岡もお疲れ様。いろいろ任せてしまってごめんなさい。いえ、皆さん手伝ってくれましたから。頼もしいわね。
Orihime, being part of the main cast, had ended up leaving Hanukkah in actual charge of the event. No one had appointed her, it just happened naturally. She was the perfect successor for Orihime.
撤収準備はできていますが。そうね。帰りましょうか。
We said a final goodbye to Mr. Morita and his staff, and then went outside. There was no one around. It was hard to believe it had been so busy earlier.
終わったわね。
It was finally starting to feel real. I stood next to her, feeling calm. You did great today, Orihime.
ええ、空見くんもお疲れ様。
I enjoyed the feeling of accomplishment as we stood there, watching the dimly lit harbor town. I was sure Orihime felt the same. I just stood next to her.
アキトくん、バス来たよ。
Saya came to get me. The remaining people were gathered at the bus stop. I'm going to stay here a little longer.
そうなの？
I don't want to go home just yet. I was like a kid having a fit because he didn't want the festival to be over. I knew that, but I couldn't help it.
わかった。じゃあ私は先に帰るね。
Be careful.
じゃあね、アキトくん。白鳥さんもお疲れ様でした。
Saya went home. Orihime, Hanukkah, and I were the only three left.
私もお先に失礼しますね。
Hanukkah bowed her head and quickly scurried away. What's wrong with her?
多分気を使ってくれたのね。あの子は私のこととなると察しがいいみたいだから。
Considerate?
月の女神アルテミス。私が着た衣装は彼女がモチーフだと聞いているわ。
I had heard that too. That happened when the Saisen girls' students saw the in-progress script.
みんながこぞって言うのよ。本当に女神様みたいだって。そんなことないと思っていたわ。アルテミスのような気高さも強さも私にはないから。でもね、今日だけはアルテミスになろうと思ったの。イベントに来てくれた後輩たちのため、手伝ってくれたムツラ星のメンバーのため、そしてあなたのために。
Orihime's eyes looked straight at me. I looked right back at her as if to return the beam of her stare.
実は謝らなければいけないことがあるの。先月のあの夜、聞こえていたの。でも聞こえないふりをしてしまって。
So you heard me. More than half a month had passed. I thought the reason she didn't react for so long was that she didn't hear my confession.
ごめんなさい。せっかくあなたの気持ちを聞いたのに、ずっと黙っていて。イベントの準備をしている間も考えていたわ。私はどうしたらいいのかって。でもなかなか答えは出なくて。だけどアルテミスになってみて気づいたの。恋をするってこういうことなのね。
She took a deep breath. At that signal, Orihime raised her head and something switched in her.
私は女神アルテミス。夜空より世界を照らす青白き月。だけど今宵は地上に降り立ったただの恋する娘。これが答えよ。
Her lips touched my cheek. They felt soft, warm, and slightly moist. I couldn't do anything from this sudden kiss.
今これ以上は無理だから。じゃあね、空見くん。
She ran away. She was close enough that I could catch her if I chased her. But it was so sudden, all I could do was stand stunned. I'm not dreaming, am I? I kept my hand on my cheek, where she kissed me. Artemis, goddess of the moon. She had come to Earth, so when I looked up, she hadn't been there. I had thought she was someone I couldn't reach. I had thought she was unattainable, so I had given up. But I had liked her. I had thought my feelings wouldn't reach the moon. How could she just do that? She had kissed me as a reply to my confession. The shock had evaporated my feelings of excitement from a moment before. It was the day after the event. In a state of distress, I was holding my head in my hands.
うわー。
A terrible voice that I didn't recognize as my own was gushing out of me. Enough, it was driving me crazy. No, I was already crazy.
一体何なのですか？
Hanuka lowered her head in with a shocked look.
私、きっと死んだ方がいいんですわ。
そんなことはないと思いますけど。
Even Hanuka, who was normally calm and reliable, seemed vexed.
告白したんですよね。まさかできなかったなんてことはありませんよね。
それは、
図星でしたか。走ってきたから嫌な予感はしていました。
After that, I had run up to Hanuka as she walked. She had good instincts, so she didn't ask yesterday, and we just parted ways.
私もきちんとお返事しようと思っていたのよ。でも途中から
恥ずかしくなってしまって。
キスをして逃げてしまいました。
はい？まさか告白の返事から何から全部すっ飛ばしていきなりキスしたんですか？
I nodded to Hanuka's surprise.
で、そのまま逃げてきたと。
I nodded again.
それじゃ空見くんも驚きますよ。
とても驚いていましたわ。
この後どうするつもりなんですか？
それがわからないからこうしてるのよ。
I put my head in my hands again. I eventually got sick of my own whining voice. But each time I thought of my situation, I was so embarrassed I wanted to die.
アルテミスだなんて調子に乗るからこうなるんです。
あなたも彼の書いた脚本を読んだでしょ？明らかにそんな風に書いているじゃない。
元会長のことまるで女神みたいに思ってますよね。
それ自体はね、恥ずかしいけれど嬉しかったのよ。だからちょっぴりサービスしてあげようと思って。
でもいきなりキスはやりすぎです。
そんなの吉岡に言われなくても分かってるわよ。
I could tell from Hanuka's face that she didn't know what to say to me. She was right, I felt the same way.
空見くんに気持ちは伝わったんでしょうか？
わかりませんわ。
いきなり唇を奪われただけではさすがに意味不明でしょうしね。
唇じゃありません。頬です。
ならなおさらです。やるなら唇にすればまだ良かったのに。
やり直ししないとダメかしら。
知りません。勝手にしてください。
Looking annoyed, Hanuka took out her smartphone and started tapping at it.
吉岡？
ここに空見くんを呼びますね。
ちょっと待って。まだ心の準備が。
もう遅いです。メッセージ送ってしまいましたから。
What should I do? It was too late. No one cared about the whole goddess in disguise act.
いい加減にしてください。あなたは十分すぎるほど女神だと思いますよ。もちろん見た目だけじゃなく中身もです。
本当に？
ちょっとくらい俗っぽくっても逆に親しみが湧きますし。
俗っぽい？
こたつの剣とか割とドン引きです。
I couldn't believe people thought that of me. Hanuka was so mean. After everything, I hadn't been able to sleep.
なんだよ、ゾンビみてえな声出して。
I think I am a zombie. I bet I look like one too.
何アホなこと言ってんだ。
Takichi had come to search the room for food.
カップ麺ないのかよ。この際何味でもいいから。
Go buy some if you want. There's a ton in the store.
俺は今ここで食いたいんだよ。
He didn't look like he was giving up. There wasn't much food here since I had moved to my living space.
お、レトルトのおかゆ発見。
Did you check the expiration date?
2年くらい過ぎてた。
It seemed that even he couldn't eat it. but he must have been able to let it go. He kept checking the nutrition information over and over.
つまんねえ部屋になったよな、ここは。
And then you could just leave. Honestly, I wanted to be alone.
バカなこと言うな。ゾンビを放っておけるか。
You don't know anything.
わかるよ。俺も一時期ゾンビみたいになってたよ
He started talking nostalgically.
な。名工の姫さんだろ。あの後告って見事玉砕したってオチか。
No.
じゃあ誰だよ。天の川に行ったのか。
Saya has nothing to do with it.
じゃあ何なんだよ。もったいぶらずに言え。
Orihime, she kissed me.
はあ
What does this mean that she wants to go out with me?
そんなん俺が知るかよ。知りたきゃ本人に確認しろ。
Right.
たくふざけんな。お前が振られたと思って優しくしてやったのに。
You're a good guy, Taki.
お前は悪いやつだよ。
Takichi stormed angrily out of the room. I was left alone. At that moment, a notification appeared on my phone. Huh? Woo! I sprinted out of the room. Hello, I'm Akito Sarami.
白鳥織姫ですわ。
Just outside of Maiku Astronomy Club, I met Orihime and she sat me down. And for some reason, we introduced ourselves.
逃げていいかしら。ダメです。
This felt like some kind of arranged marriage meeting, or even like a sumo match. Hanukkah, as a referee, was incredibly strict. She was normally so good-natured. She must have been really annoyed.
このままですと周囲が迷惑なので、この際はっきりさせてください。
Hi.
わかりましたわ。では、空見くんからどうぞ。
Me?
こういう時、男性からするものです。吉岡が見ている前でそういうのはちょっと。では、5分時間を差し上げますね。
Hanukkah said this and left the room. With the two of us left alone in the room, we both seemed pretty uncomfortable.
昨日はごめんなさい。
She apologized right off the bat. No, I'm sorry. I just froze up.
こちらこそいきなり走って逃げたりして。
We looked at each other. In the seconds that our eyes met, her face got redder and redder.
キス嫌じゃなかったかしら。
Completely the opposite. I was happy.
じゃ
Let me say it again. I like you. Please go out with me. I finally said it to her face. I felt like it was thanks to Hanukkah's arrangements, but I didn't care. Regardless, I had told her how I felt. I couldn't run, hide, or cover it up anymore.
はっきり言われると照れるわね。
Please endure that.
そうよね。あなたに好きと言われるのも今日でおしまいではないでしょうし。ということで告白してくれてありがとう。喜んでお受けしたいと思います。つまりは私もあなたのことが好きということよ。
She looked shy, but she said it. The truth of it made me so happy. I wanted to just start running. Orihime.
織姫、レディーはよ。今から私たち恋人なのでしょ。
Yeah, I'll say your name to you every day.
私もあなたのことアキトくんと呼ばせてもらいますわ。他に人がいるときはこれまで通り空見くんと呼ばせてもらうと思うけれど、
That's good.
あなたはいつでも織姫でいいから試しに練習してみて。3、はい。
Orihime.
もう一回。
Orihime.
もっと。
Orihime. 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 And she gave me a huge smile when I called her name. Just that was thrilling.
まだ5分経ってませんが、もう良さそうですね。よしおか！このまま盛り上がってキスでも始められたら困りますから。そんなことしません。しないんですか？するかも。
She looked at me with puppy dog eyes. Really?
そういうのは場所をわきまえてください。私だって恥ずかしいんですから。
Even Hanukkah was getting shy. We didn't have anything else to talk about, so we took a break for tea.
ありがとう、吉岡。いえ、私も喉が渇いていましたから。
I'd like some hot tea. The time passed lazily. We had sweets with our tea, and I was finally able to relax.
お二人はこれからどうするつもりなんですか？どうするも何もお付き合いするつもりだけど、そういうことではなくて、周囲に交際するのを伝えるのかどうかってことです。隠す必要ってあるのかしら？
Orihime didn't seem to see a problem. I don't think we need to hide it either. It's not anything bad.
わかりました。でも伝え方は少し考えた方がいいですよ。いろいろあると思いますので。では、私はここで。
Hanukkah left first out of consideration.
空見くんじゃなかった。アキトくんは自転車？アキトくんって恋人同士ですもの。名前で呼び合うのは当然でしょ？
You're right, Orihime.
あ、なんだか急に恋人同士っぽくなりましたね。いいでしょ？羨ましいです。
As they were talking happily, I rolled my bicycle over. Sorry, I do have my bike today.
二人乗りはいけないのよね。
Probably best not to. I couldn't just put a princess from Maiku Academy on the back of my bike like it was nothing.
残念ですが、仕方ありませんわね。
Okay, I'm going.
さよならのキスはしてくれないの？
Huh?
ダメですよ、そういうのは。お父様はいつもお母様にしているのだけれど、それは夫婦だからです。恋人だって似たようなものなの。
Orihime looked disappointed. So was I, of course. But other than Hanukkah, we had to be careful of our surroundings.
仕方ないわね。諦めるわ。それに、まだ唇のキスはしてないもの。
Orihime gently touched her own lips. Yesterday they touched my cheek. I wondered what it would be like on my lips.
もうそんなに見ないで。唇のキスは近いうちに必ずしますから。
I must have been looking at her greedily. Orihime hid her lips shyly. I'm looking forward to it.
待っていてちょうだい。
We were on the bus a few minutes after saying goodbye to Akito. And this is where I will end it. I mean, it was quite a little climax there that even lasted for a little while. Her accepting the confession that came midway through this video from Akito. Her running away. I absolutely love that scene where she's sitting there lamenting her actions from the previous evening. It was a great ending to a really nice build-up. Anyway, again, it's probably a good place to end it because there's plenty more story to go, and well, we're over the 2-hour mark, I'm pretty sure. So I think that's it for www.notthetimcurrystudios.com. I am 2Athomar7 saying so long.
No.